So, in a bit, sorry, but do you like the intro? It, I want to use it every time I'm not doing a TikTok compilation. So I've very blatantly been away. Well, I haven't made anything for a while, mainly because I've been going through what I call a summer slump, which is basically where I've read very little throughout the entirety of summer. I don't know why. I read better when I'm in a college or school, I suppose. But I did obviously read a lot of books in June. I'm planning on putting the graph here, but you can see that it did dip in July and it did get up a little bit in August, but not as much as in previous months. The reason June is so big is because I was still in uh, college and then finished off there at the end. Should be worth mentioning to get this out of the way is that every time, at least once every month, I read Tabanoff and Dabgo. Once every month, I do it every month. It shouldn't be that surprising. And in June and July, I read it through audiobook, and as I'd shown in the last two videos, I think I did this, I don't remember, it's been 3 months evidently, that I do a superhero in the colours of a pride flag every time, which is this one. This one was for June, which is the gay and non-binary flag, or the MLM flag. I'm not proud of it because I mixed up the colours for the non-binary flag, and the gay flag's barely in it, so it's not the best one I've done. I'm not good with the two flag ones. And then this is the one I did for July, the other one I did for June. This is the pansexual flag. It's interesting, better than the other one. But anyway, so I read 12 books in June, including Tabanoff and Datgo, and the first book I read was This Book is Gay by Juno Dawson, which I read to a 4.25 stars. Which, this book was originally published, I think, in 2014, and is and obviously this is the revisited and updated version. I actually remember very distinctly on the 1st of June, because that's when York Pride was this year, reading this in the field, because at the end of York Pride they walk to the giant field area where the race courses is, and the thing I remember is just reading this there, this is basically an explanation guide for everything, for like terms and history and icons, and it's very interesting. Some of the stuff is outdated. Well, not outdated, it's changed, because even though this was an updated version for 2020, and it has obviously been 4 years since 2020, thank God. See, things have changed a bit since then, because language has changed. I feel like I'm rambling. I'm not great at this. This is obviously a non-fiction book. At the end here, it has chapter 12 is a guide to recognizing your gay saints, and it just lists a bunch of like things like celebrities and like things that have been adopted or seen as a queer icon. Like, it's got Doctor Who, it's got celebrities obviously, and it's got YouTubers in it as well, because I think if I look It has, I believe, Troye Sivan, obviously, started on YouTube, and I think it also has, if I look, Tyler Oakley, I think. Tyler Oakley. I'm in the wrong section. Yes, Tyler Oakley, wildly successful YouTube personality. It also has people like Mara P. Johnson, Cher. I'm going to look completely uncultured, but I don't know who that is. Oh, but an Ernie as well, also in this. But you know who wasn't in it, which surprised me, which might be slightly stupid, and I'm showing my hyperfixation. Was Dan and Phil weren't in this, which I think they. I don't know if you have to get like permit. If I don't know what happened, but at the end here it has like a section that says, as time moves on, some of these names will fade and new exciting voices and minds will fill the list. Straight people don't get asked about straight icons, and it's not necessarily fair to expect famous LGBTQ people to serve as a role for the rest of us. But I think those who do are helping the world see us a little better. Here are a few lines to add your own gay icons. So I've just put Dan and Phil for obvious reasons. Honestly, it's shocking they weren't originally included anyway, because I think it works. Okay, so the next book I read was the updated version of the Security Breach files, which is basically just like a walkthrough of Security Breach, the FNAF game, and in this situation, and like the best way to do the game, and like what happens and the endings and stuff. And this of course also adds in Ruin, which is basically the ending there, which I rated 3 stars. The next book I read was What's the Tea by Juno Dawson, which is sort of the same like This Book is Gay, except it's focused on specifically trans issues, sex, media, all kinds of different things. I guess it's an explanation. Okay, so it's been like 3 months since I've read these books, so I don't fully remember them. I rated it 4 stars. After that, I listened to Tabanoff, and then I read Dapko, and then after that, I read The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, simply because I thought I kind of needed to, because I don't know. Right now on YouTube, we're having like a YouTuber renaissance. I'm thinking that mainly because Dan and Phil came back and like they're going on tour, and like everyone's saying, "Oh, it's 2014 again," and I was 7/8 into 2014, so obviously I didn't experience all this. So I figured I should read this. This is the third John Green book that I have read, and I rated it 3 stars. Which, I don't know, I don't think I particularly like his books that much, which feels mean, but it is what it is. I'm sure he's lovely, he seems lovely, but I don't think his books are particularly for me all that much, because I rated all of them 3 stars, and the first one I read, which was his debut novel, Finding Alaska, I visually remember being very agitated while reading it, and I didn't like it that much. But anyway, after Fault in Our Stars, I read the 4th volume of MHA, which is a manga for the that eventually led to the TV to the anime. I can't explain things. Obviously, it's the seventh novel manga, which I rated 4 stars. And then I read Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Barron. This had been on my TBR, I think, for like 2 years, possibly 3. I don't know when I got it. Pardon me. And I finally got around to reading it, and I rated it 4 stars. I think I probably would have rated it higher if I had read it sooner. But it's a YA, like fantasy, sapphic. It's nice, but you know, a lot of normal tropes. Normal that there's tropes. After I read that, because I had them basically, and the way I organize my bookshelf, which I will eventually, and I'll be doing a bookshelf tour. That is coming eventually. I will explain why. Another reason as to, besides the summer slump, there is another reason as to why I didn't do like a June wrap up, and I will explain that at the end. Once I finish the June section, since we're on it, and I forgot to do it earlier. Well, the next book I read was The Poison Heart by Kaylin, also by Kaylin Bayron, and I rated this 4 stars. This was a lot more intense than I thought it would be, and it is the first book in a duology, which I read next, I'll explain later, and it was a lot more intense. Basically, this girl, Bree, who's named after the wife of what's his name, Achilles, which that's fun. That probably should have been a clue in as to some of the themes in this, but yeah, it was. I thought this would just be a cool contemporary romance, contemporary romance fantasy with this kid discovering her powers, her family, and it was great. It was a lot more intense than I thought it was. I thought it was really good. And the next book I read, which was the sequel to that book, was This Wicked Fate, which I rated 4.5 stars. And wow, you have to read the first one if you want to read the second one. I didn't explain very well. She's got superpowers. She's basically Poison Ivy, but black. That was actually a thing that one of the characters in this said. I can't remember where it was because I didn't tab it, and it was 3 months ago. But one of the characters just says, "Oh wow, Bree, you're like black Poison Ivy, except not evil." There's a question as to whether or not Poison Ivy is evil. She's not evil. She's just misunderstood now. She's an anti-hero now, I think, or anti-villain, one of the two. I don't know. I haven't been keeping up. I ramble a lot, don't I? But yeah, This Wicked Fate, again, a lot more intense. I thought it's shorter than the first one, obviously, but I short of breath, and yeah, it was good. It was good. After that, I read the 29th volume of Seraph of the End. This, which is a manga series which has been going on for, I think, over 10 years at this point, and I can't explain what's going on, obviously, because it's the 29th volume. Mangas are long. There's, I think at least 2 seasons of an anime, which last I checked was on Netflix, but that was the UK version. It might be gone now. I haven't checked. I don't regularly watch Netflix. And yeah, so basically the world has been plagued, everyone 13 and over has been hit with this disease which killed them instantly 8 years ago, from when this story takes place. 4 years before before the main events take place, we get these two, and I can't really explain more than that. But basically, when there's vampires, yes, all of the adults 13 over, they're all dead, right? So the world's collapsed, and so there's the vampires have taken that opportunity and have taken over, and that's basically the next thing I read after that was I wrote all of this down in a notebook so I could remember it, because obviously 3 months, and I used a highlighter yellow pen, so it's very, very hard to read. Okay, so the last book I read in June was You're Supposed to Die. You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight by Kaylin Baron, which is a horror, and it took me an embarrassingly long time to read, considering how short it was, which I rated 4 stars. And I just want to point this out, is that all of these books have slowly just gotten shorter. Having since seen, I think, her newer release, but I haven't got it yet, but I do plan on getting it. It is like around like the same thing as like Cinderella is Dead. Possibly, I haven't seen the page count, but for a little bit, I just thought, why are they getting shorter? I think for a horror book, I wasn't that scared of it, all things considered. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, so July. Now before. Okay, so this is everything I read in June. I don't know. I'm smiling because I might use it as a thumbnail, depending on how many books there is to carry. There's a lot of books. Not as many as there would be usually. So why didn't I do a June wrap up in like the beginning of July? Well, we were getting our bathroom done, which meant that every day for like 2 weeks, wake up in the morning and there would just be drills. So many drills, and at one point there was a hole in the floor. But yeah, I couldn't record anything for 2 weeks. And obviously, also at the time, I was heavily in my my summer slump, as I call it, which basically every time that there is a break off of like school or college, since I'm now in college, I can't read properly for some reason. Don't know why. I think it's because I use reading as like a coping mechanism to like deal with the stress of school, and slightly to do with procrastination as well. But basically, without without that stressor, I'm not reading as often as usual. Okay, so basically, that's basically everything that I read in June. And in July, I only read 3 books. Guess what? 2 of these books were, Tavern Off and Go, because I reread them at least once every once because they make me feel things. But the first book, well, I mean, it's not the first book. Another reason I think that I took so long is because the book that I was trying to read, which I don't have with me physically. 1 second. Ow. The book that I was trying to read was this one, The Problem with Perfect by Philip William Stover, which I did end up DNFing because it made me uncomfortable, which is really annoying because I thought this would be a really good book. Basically, I really didn't like this, and so it took me a really long time, and I should have DNF'd it sooner than I did. I thought I'd really like it because it's fake dating, it's queer, I don't remember fully what it, obviously it was like a month ago. I'm recording this on the last day of August. I'm planning on it going up either tomorrow, the 1st of September, or the 2nd, but it depends how long it takes to edit. It probably won't take that long, since I currently don't have any. It's not that I don't want there to be background music, it's just I don't know where to get it. Okay, so I'll read the blurb because 1 second. Okay. When style is everything, will Ethan learn what true Lucy is on the inside? When LGBTQ style icon Chase Miles goes missing for the live Pride broadcast his his hit TV show, producer Ethan Wells' career hangs in the balance. Ethan tracks down Chase's estranged twin brother, Yu, to pass him off as Chase for a week, but finds a hairy, rugged mountain man complete opposite of his brother. Can Ethan transform View into Chase, fool his boss, and save his job? And when View turns out to be caring, romantic, and everything that his twin is not, does he really want Chase back anyway? Like, that sounds really good. And it also says that fans of Casey McQuiston would like this. And I really loved Red, White, and Royal Blue and One Last Stop. So, this sound like it'd be really up my alley, and I'm sure it'd be lots of people up on its alley, but obviously didn't like it because it did kind of contribute to the summer slump, which is very annoying. I have now since listed it on my Vinted, which I will link in the description, so if you are interested in the book, which, if I didn't like it, doesn't mean that you won't. I think one of the main reasons is I like it when they're on their own, but when they were trying to fool people, it made me really uncomfortable. If you can get past that, I'm sure you'll really like it. And if you do like it, feel free to purchase it if you're in the UK. Obviously, if you're not in the UK, you can't, unfortunately, because that's not how Vinted works. But anyway, back to my July reads. So technically speaking, the only new book is I listened to the audiobook of You Will Get Through This Night, the updated edition, and which I listened to in, I think, like a week technically, but like I remember I had to drop stuff off, so I just plugged it in and rode on my bike, which technically speaking you probably shouldn't do because it's a mental health guide, and that wouldn't be a best thing. But that's what I did. Still 5 stars, still great. I highly suggest that listening to the audiobook because there is bonus content. There's a Q&A at the end, and bloopers, and there's an interview with the mental health consultant who is, if I can't remember her name, what's her name? Dr. Heather Bolton. There's an interview with her that Dan does, which is good. I skipped the ASMR section because ASMR is not my cup of tea. Now, onto the books I read in August, I read 6 books in August, which is better than 3. And they were all no books, obviously, besides Tylenol. So the first book I read in August was Only Mostly Devastated by Sophie Gonzalez, which I really liked, and it was cute, and the will they, won't they, I guess? I don't know. Basically, Ollie, the ginger one, had a sweet, like, summer romance with, what's his name? I can't remember. Will, and he thought, like, that'd be the end of it. Will, and because he lives in a different state to Will, they thought they'd never see each other again. And then his parents, Nick's parents, no, Ollie's parents, who's Nick, and then Ollie's parents reveal that they are temporarily going to be staying in the same like area to help with Ollie's aunt who is sick. And so he stays there, which surprises everyone. They end up going to the same school, but Nick acts a lot different than he did when they were like together over the summer, and it goes off from there, which, one of the characters did very annoy me because, like, slight spoiler warning, I guess, for very much. She did this one of the characters, this one, basically body shamed this character, which was not great, which did duck it down a bit, but I did end up crying because of it. So, obviously, sub-sessions, going to cry. And I rated it 4 stars. It was okay, it was cute, and something that I needed after not reading for a month besides a mental health guide. And the next book I read, slight tone shift, was The Well of Loneliness by Radcliffe Hall, which is supposed like one of the first like sapphic romances, and which I listened to this an audiobook and read it physically, sometimes at the same time, mainly because there's like these sections at the back where it explains, like, cultural things, or in some cases, like, it'll explain like areas like Upton on Severn, small town on the river Sven, and it'll explain like things, or explain phrases to like explain for the time period, because this was published in the 1920s. And in some cases, there'd just be like phrases in French, because I guess a lot of people could speak French in the 1920s in England. So a lot of this, so it will just have the English translations. This book also made me cry. It's called The Well of Loneliness, and I wasn't expecting it to have a nice ending. It's called The Well of Loneliness, but the ending was... Eh, it was an ending. It's not that it's particularly bad. It was a lot. I would highly suggest listening to this in audiobook, because I listened to it through audio. El Posa is an amazing narrator, and she was great. After I read The Well of Loneliness, I reread Tabanoff and Dabgo again, this time just normal reading, and after that, I read Maurice, because I'm in a classic gay literature mood. So we have sad sapphics, gleeful gays. Saying that, I rated this 3 stars, which was very disappointing. At one point, the Morris and his love interest describe themselves as misogynists. So yeah, and I understand this is a very important piece of literature, and it was written 1913, 1914, well, completed in 1914, and it was only published until it wasn't published until 1917, when the author E.M. Forster had already passed away. And I understand that this is a really important piece of queer literature, but I did not like it at all. It was annoying, and I didn't like the main character or the love interest, and it was very boring in all honesty. And I will also be getting rid of it, and is also being listed on my Vinted for anyone who's interested in it or wants to write a paper on it. The next book and the final book I read in August was The Book of Queer Prophets, which is an essay collection. This is the first essay collection I have ever read, and I really liked it. It's basically essays from 23 queer people who are either religious or have experience growing up in religion. And I guess it's a reflection of how religion affects and is a part of queer culture to specifically religious people. And it was really poignant. Is that the right word? I really enjoyed it. I rated it 4.25 stars. I'm not particularly religious, my primary school had Christian head teachers, so we'd usually end assemblies with a prayer for some reason, because it's England. This is a very common thing, I presume, in English primary schools. I say presuming, I could be completely wrong, and someone will comment. I doubt the comments. I don't get comments on these videos. But yeah, it was very interesting. I'm not religious. I'm open to the idea of religion. It's just the main, the big four, Christian, Muslim, Hinduism, Judaism, big five, top 5, obviously aren't really for me, from what I can tell, but it was interesting hearing this perspective. But anyway, this is, I should turn this around. This is everything I read this summer and the deep ending of college. I will try being the optimal word. I don't know how it is, since I am starting college again in September. Actually, I think this next Friday I am starting college again. So yeah, I will try to do more regular things, try and record more, I want to do a proper bookshelf tour. The reason I keep looking up, if you want to know, the reason I keep looking up is because I have a bookshelf in front of me. That's basically it. And the reason that I keep looking up when talking about it. It's like I read from this way across, so I move my bookshelf, and this is gone because I'm currently reading that book which I usually have placed there. I'm currently reading it, so I've taken it down. So obviously bookshelf tour coming at some point, hopefully, and yeah, I will try and at very least have monthly like face uploads again. The TikToks will forever will be sporadic, like whenever I get like a specific amount. I don't go on TikTok that often, so I mean, you'd think only really 4 edits of Dan and Phil, basically. Or I did do a Brooklyn Nine-Nine one, obviously, but I had a lot of those in my camera roll, and a Ghosts one, but again, not in my camera roll, so it just depends on how many I get. It's basically everything. And again, I'm sorry for not doing this as I don't think that many people care, but I'd like to do that more because I like talking about books. I want to do reading vlogs at some point. Like I want to vlog myself reading the Percy Jackson series because I've never read it before, and I'd like to do like um uh well, I guess the Percy Jackson universe, because it's I don't have just Percy Jackson. I also have Heroes of Olympus and Canes Chronicles and Magnus Chase. But I obviously I don't know if I read them correctly in the same order. At some point, I would love to do proper reading vloggers, maybe normal vlogging. I don't know. I'm about to start a media course, so hopefully I will be improving my editing, finding better editing software. To the 4 viewers I possibly get, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And also to the people who keep watching the TikTok compilations as well, I do also appreciate that. I'm nearly at 1,000 views with like one of the videos, and as of recording it, it's on like 939 views currently, which is amazing. I mean, it is just a TikTok compilation of 2 very popular YouTubers. So, and it's nothing I've ever done besides the couple, like, every TikTok I ever make that has to do with them has gone in the compilations or has been uploaded to the channel either as a short or as a short video, obviously. But yeah, thank you for watching. I will hopefully have more frequent content with my face, or if not, at least monthly content with my face. Depends on how it goes. I'm gonna try doing this regularly because I want to do this regularly because I do. But yeah, bye. Bye.